Welcome back to part 3 of I Catch Killers with our special guest, underworld figure Graham Henry. I've seen a lot in my time as a major crime detective, but I've got to say, I'm finding our chat here very fascinating, Graham. Graham's very raw in the way he's talking about his life of crime. There's definitely no filter there. Before we move on to the next part, Graham, I just want to read out a quote that in the book.
Yep.
I'm not after understanding, exoneration or sympathy. I just want to tell my side and let others decide for themselves because I'm sick of all the bullshit and lies by police and criminals alike, many of whom have lied in order to get me out of the way.
Yep.
That's what's driven that type of commentary.
Well, that all really started out of, when Ned went to the ICAC in, like he was seeing them 9 months before I went to prison.
Yeah.
And, that was putting the wind up a lot of people, especially me, because, I'd run around with him the longest out of anyone. And
Can I just explain that people that mightn't understand what the ICAC is? Independent Commission Against Corruption.
That's correct.
And it was any formalised corruption, and Neddy had gone there, Neddy Smith had gone there and had started to provide information to him.
He'd been providing information. He was dirty that he got the life sentence. And
this was after he stabbed the tow truck driver?
Stabbed the tow truck driver and then blamed his other mate for it, Glenn Flack. And then, but at the end of the day, it was Ned who did that. And Flacky got a separate trial and he ended up, he beat it and Ned got life. But anyway, then once that happened, he decided, well, if I'm in here, I'm going to turn on me. They've turned on me now,
Yep.
And, his reign had come to an end quite a few years before that. I could see the writing on the wall after Roger had been kicked out of the force in about 84 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I was going to move on anyway. But in between that, there was a lot of drama that happened. But getting back to that, I wasn't really very friendly with him when I hit the nick then after I stabbed a police prosecutor.
Right.
And I got an 8-year sentence. And I was lucky I only got 8 with a 6 instead of 25. But I'll get into that another time if you want to ask me.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
But Neddy started to go to the ICAC and started to talk to him about crooked cops that he paid.
And so people understand the workings of this, he was hoping to get a reduction in his sentence.
Oh, 100% he was.
That was so for providing this information, rolling over basically.
Yeah, and getting paid. That's what he was hoping for.
Yeah, and get released.
Yeah, and there was no way in the world that was ever going to happen. I didn't ever think anyway. But then, anyway, one day I was walking up and down the yard with his this mate of his, this Glenn Flack, and he said, he's talked about this robbery and that robbery and, ones I'd done. And I said, what? He said, yeah, he was telling me the other day. So I went and had a snip through his cell because he had the Parkinson's. And when he'd have the Parkinson, he'd get tired, in the sun. Yeah. The sun made him real tired, so he'd go to sleep. So I went in and found this paperwork and took it back to my cell and started reading it. And I went, right. So I went in front of him and I said, listen, you're talking about robberies you weren't even involved in here. He said, that's all right. I'm just going to say this happened and I paid this copper and that pub. I said, yeah, but, well, I said, this is an inquiry, Ned.
Yeah.
It's a corruption inquiry. At the end of it, if there's enough, if other people get involved in this and there's corroboration that, you've been paying all these coppers all these years, and I have, or whoever else you're throwing the circle here, I said, there's going to be a court case. When there's a court case, if you don't get up and then say, well, who was with you on this robbery, and that robbery? Yeah. Because this wasn't about it, the ICAC, this was just about police corruption, right? So I said, but it'll get to that point, and then to make, otherwise you'll be an unreliable witness. Yeah. So if you don't nominate who you're with, so what's going to happen then? What, are you going to start dropping names on? And he said, no, I won't get that far. It's only this thing. Anyway, I thought it over, I mulled it over in my head a little bit. And I went, ooh, anyway, I kept on sneaking down every now and then and having a look at what he was writing.
Because you're at risk here. If Neddy gave evidence to ICAC saying, Graham and I did this stick-up, we did that stick-up.
Oh, 100%.
They can't use the evidence against him because it's under inducement.
That's right.
But
can use it against me.
They can use it against
That's
you.
right.
So it left you in a pretty vulnerable position.
It left me in a real bad spot. So I thought, how can I get around this? So anyway, they actually came out. They called me out there one day to talk about Mal Spence. They said, you got anything to say about him? I said, no. I go, I really haven't got anything to say about him. He said, well, you run around with Ned for 10 years and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, so what? And he said, well, you must have seen him do a lot of things. I said, well, maybe I have.
Yeah.
But anyway, they said, there wasn't really anything going to happen. And I wasn't even really going to stick my head in. And I said to his partner who we run around with at the time, that flack walking up and down the yard, I said, I've got to fix this bloke up, mate. I said, he can't get out of here. I said, I'm telling you. I said, we're in plenty of trouble. If he starts talking, he's talking about you.
Yeah.
He said, I don't want nothing to do with it. So he got moved, this bloke, his mate Flag, and then all of a sudden he appeared again 2 days later. Well, I found out he'd been out and seen the police.
Right.
Right. So the police had detective, I think was the other one. They took him down the Cowrie Hotel for a drink and met his girl, and he had so he could have a fool around and give him 2 days out. He said he went to Silverwater, and then they found out there was no room there for him. They brought him back. I said, 2 days later? So I knew he'd gone in there, and he saw an opening for a smart lad, and he thought, this might help me when I get out, because if Ned's doing life, then I can get a step up the ladder here.
Yeah.
Right?
Jesus, there's
the treachery in it, and that's exactly what happened, mate. So I knew that he talked about me, not only there, but to the Mark Stanton at the National Crime Authority, and I got that on good advice from someone in there. Stan Smith was told by one of the blokes in there, and he gave up Stan Smith, he gave up Michael Early, he gave up me about armed robberies. So anyway, he left the wing and went to another wing, and I didn't see him again. And then next minute he started talking, and I thought, I've got to get involved here, but I'm just gonna shut it down. So I said to the blokes in the yard, I said, listen, I'm going to get a bad fucking cook here.
Yeah.
And I said, and it's going to go against all the grains I've ever stood for. I said, but I've got to get involved in this inquiry, but there's no way in the world.
The people on the yard and your crew would be looking at you going, what the hell are you doing?
So I just put it straight out there. I told them what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going in here, and there's no way in the world I'm cooperating with him.
Yeah.
Right? Now, he's talked about the robberies. I'll nod my head to the robberies.
Yeah.
Right? That'll get... But before I even did that, a solicitor came out and seen me from the ICAC, and he said, mate, they've already given you immunity. I said, what? Give me immunity?
Yeah.
I said, I haven't even told them anything. And he said, mate, it's never happened before. They've given you immunity.
It is quite strange.
Yeah.
So they've given you the immunity.
Right. So they wanted me because they needed cooperation. That's what they needed.
Desperate.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went, so next minute they dragged me in there, take me into the office, take me from the jail out to the ICAC building, put me in this room, made sure the immunity was sweet. They started asking me stuff. Anyway, they said, okay, well, tell us some of the police you've paid. I said, I never paid the police.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, but you run around with Ned for 10 years. I said, no, I'd never seen that. I said, listen, I've been involved in a lot of things. That robbery. I've done them.
Yeah.
Right? And if you want to know who I did them with, they're dead. Christopher Dale Flannery and Laurie Prendergast. And he went, and he went, he died in 86. This was 1987. That crime happened. And I went, well, that's what you think.
Yeah.
All right. So I just gave them dead people,
Yeah.
right? So as this was all progressing, then they said, look, in order for us to go ahead with this, you're going to have to go down to the special purpose prison, right?
Yeah.
Where they keep witnesses. And I went, oh, Jesus Christ.
Because
this is really going against me grain, right?
Well, in your world, that's...
oh, wow. Well, I knew all these silly rumours that then circulate that, I was backing him up. And naturally, the police believed it.
Yeah.
And because no one was getting a leg in there. The only bloke who really knew was Clive Small, who was there for a little time.
Yeah.
And then he went to the National Crime Authority. And he knew that, and he said in his book, when he wrote his book, that I only corroborated the armed robberies.
Yeah.
Right? And named dead people. Right? And here I am in solitary confinement. And then one day I'm going through, well, I'm with Smith in a cell. And I walked into his cell. And I hoisted his paperwork again. And I went through it, and next minute I could see he was naming blokes.
Yeah.
And a crime wasn't really a crime. Well, it was. I was carrying a gun. And some police pulled us over at Glebe. Well, he nominated the other bloke who was with me at the time and what happened and who we paid and to get out of it. And I read this and I thought, well, he's even... and then he talked about this council bloke. And he's starting to drop all these names. I said, well, he's not only doing that, he's rolling on
everyone.
On everyone here. So I'm glad I did what I've done.
Yeah.
So anyway, I knocked up on the door, and he got up. He got up and walked out. Oh, what are you doing? I said, getting out of here, getting away from you.
Yeah.
So next minute the screws come up, said, get me out of here. I said, just put me back up in the main, mate. I'm fucking finished with this shit.
Yeah.
He said, no, you can't do that, mate. So they put me back in. They put me in a cell on my own. I stayed in the cell for 2 years on my own.
Yeah.
Never come out of it. I had a cage at the back. I walked around the circle for a couple of hours, walked that way, come back in, did me training.
Yep.
Right? They thought the longer we keep him here,
you break him.
He's going to break.
Yeah.
Right? I thought we were playing with the wrong bloke, mate.
Yeah.
Right? So next minute they pulled me up the inquiry about a year into it. And the commissioner pulled me into a private hearing in Tembe, and he said, how is it that you've run around, because he would have been reading all the stuff coming from them, and I did a tape-recorded interview, so I couldn't be verbaled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I couldn't fabricate what I was saying over the tape, right? And then so I walked in, and he said, so how come you haven't ever seen him pay the police? And I said, because he was greedy. He liked to keep all his people to himself. So I've never seen him pay the police. He said, but you've made up money. I said, well, I've made up money in packets that were allegedly going to him, but, I've never seen them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I said, so if we had a green light, I don't know. I was never privy to it.
Right.
I didn't hear about it. And he went, well, so that was the end of it. So another 18 months later, I'm still sitting out in the filthy frigging solitary, right? And then I finally get up there. They call me up, the big headlines, Abbo Henry appearing, blah, blah, blah. I get up there. I was in the witness box for about a minute and a half, and they ejected me. But as soon as I got the statement, I looked at the statement, and the statement said, yeah, I walked up the stairs with Ned Smith in Goulburn Street, and we paid detective from the alarm robbery squad.
Right.
And I went, hey, I never said that, mate. Play the tape. I've never mentioned the copper. I told you, Mr. Tembe, get out, get out. That's all he said to me, and that was headlined the next day, get out.
So
everyone knew then that I hadn't ratted.
So summing up what we've talked about there, you've got Neddy going there to give evidence. He's given you up.
Yeah.
That left you vulnerable. You've gone in there specifically to just make sure you're looking after your interests.
And my own team.
Yeah.
And my own gang.
Yeah.
That's what I was protecting.
Without giving anyone else up.
Exactly.
They've given you immunity.
Yeah.
So you've talked about the crimes that they've given you immunity.
That's right.
Your involvement, not other people or dead people.
That's right.
And then they've called you into ICAC to give evidence.
Yep.
And you've been in solitary for 18 months
Yeah.
or whatever,
2 years, yeah.
and you're only in the witness box for 5 minutes.
Yeah, not even that.
Okay, so...
Yeah,
all right.
I was ejected. Just got kicked out of the place. And
Rejected
I remember
or
Chris,
ejected?
Chris Murphy wrote a thing and he said he should be called back. We want to know why he was kicked out. And then that's why I wrote it in the book. And I said, if they want to sue me, go ahead, boy, I got the tapes.
This is just what you're talking now. This is a chaos in the world that operated back in those times. It was wild times.
Oh.
High stakes, wild times.
You know, and then, you know, that bloke there that ended up running around with him, well, he ended up, you know, like spreading all those rumours around. I give up cops and I did this and, you know, I had to go and confront all this when I got out.
Yeah.
And, you know, and by the time my sentence was finished, I'd been moved to Tamworth, then at Cessnock, and then I had 2 weeks to go, and a hit squad was sent to knock me before I got out because they didn't want me back playing in the ball game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And anyway, as I worked at the Rothby Train Route Museum, and on my works release, you know, to get back into society. Right, so this is when you still,
okay.
I'm just right at the end of my sentence. I got 2 weeks to go. But I started to smell a rat. And then, as I said to you, I have dreams. And I had this massive dream about this massive big snake. And it went beside me like it never got me. And as I say, when I was a kid, my mother taught me all the spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I used to have nightmares about when I was a kid was snakes. And she said, you're going to have a lot of enemies. Right. How right she was.
Well,
how right she was.
Yeah.
But so I knew straight away that was an enemy, and it was a big one, and I knew in what suburb it was because I could tell by the houses.
Yeah.
And we were there yesterday, right? Yep. So I won't say who it is because I might give it away. And then, you know, put pressure on the bloke that tried to do it. So anyway, as the prison officer drops me off, he turns around and drives back to the prison. I'm walking down towards this train where I'm going to have a cup of tea with this bloke who lives on the property. He's a caretaker. And then I walk, you know, it's on about 500 acres, this place, right? All the old trains, the Granville train disaster trains, all them sort of things. So as I'm walking down there, I just saw something just caught me eye. I looked like that. Now, all I'd been doing for 3 months was sprint training.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't believe it. So it was like my spirit knew, right? And as I went, I looked like that and 2 blokes stood up. One was a real big bloke, one was a little short bloke. I knew straight away in my head who it was, even though I balaclavaed up and camouflage gear on, right?
Yeah.
And they just started unloading.
Yeah.
So I just whoosh, I started running. And as I'm running, I'm thinking, well, I dive in that big pond there. There was a massive big dam there, you know, with the reeds all around it. And I thought, no, I won't do that. And I'm not going sideways in case I run into one of them. I'm just umming it. And they're letting them go bang, 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 bang. Ended up emptying their clips. Well, the adrenaline run out of my body.
Yeah.
And then I went arse over red. And he went to go like that, as if he was coming over. I said, come on, you little dog. I said, your old man's name was Who Can I? Who can I tell on that runs in the family, you dog?
Right.
That's what I said to him.
Yeah.
So I screamed that out at him, and they took off, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, next minute, not next minute, it took the coppers an hour and a half to come there.
Yeah.
Hour and a half, they drive in with the shotguns, the bulletproof vests on. I said, wow, you're a little bit late there, mate.
Yeah.
And there was one cop there who tried to pull me into an armed robbery once, and who fabricated me report card to put me in the time frame I could have been at this robbery this day, right? Which I wasn't. And I was actually in the police station when it came over the radio, right? So as they got me up there and I realised this one couple was there and I thought, oh, it could be a bit of involvement here with, you know?
Yeah.
This is the cop job and the crooks, right, working together. So anyway, a few days later they put this identikit picture in the paper you know,
Yeah.
of two blokes that looked absolutely nothing like him, and so we wouldn't even get a look in, of course, you know. And that's how it worked. Well, out come this, so I knew straight away the cops were involved in it.
Yeah.
Right? And anyway, I knew straight away who it was.
This was the payback for not naming.
This bloke knew that he knew he'd ratted on me.
Okay, so there's the payback there.
Yeah.
So how's it? You're telling me you've never given anyone up?
No, ever.
And that's
And
accepted.
there's not a policeman in the country could ever say so.
Yeah, and that's accepted now. Like,
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't have run the company I did after it if I was no good, mate.
yeah,
You know, and I run with Sam the Man Smith, who was very well respected, and he's seen coppers' wives come up to me
Yeah.
at Balmain Leaves Club and wrap their arms around me and say, "Thank you so much for not doing that."
Right, for not giving them up.
turning on my husband, and
Right.
you know, they were under plenty of pressure to, you know.
All right. Well, it's an amazing, stories you got here. There's a couple of well-known ones that, I think for this one you're inside, but the shooting of Warren Lanfranchi by Roger Rogerson.
Yeah, that was just, well, I was pinched on the 12th of June 1981 and shot by the police at North Sydney.
Yeah.
And on a drug matter.
Yep.
And they shot me in the head, and a couple of pellets went in my eye. So, then about 2 weeks later, I think it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, it was still in June, I think, that year, 81, when Warren was taken down by Neddy Smith.
Yeah.
Down the lane down to Chippendale to Dangar Place to meet up with Rogers and to allegedly pay him for an armed robbery, you know, just give him a sling and all that sort of stuff. So he took money down with him, all right. And it shows on that Blue Murder Warren would have been spinning out and all that, but he wasn't. Warren wasn't like that. He was a pretty tough little kid. He was mad as a cut snake, but he trusted Ned, unfortunately, as a lot of us did. And Ned drove him down there, knowing full well what the situation was going to be.
Yeah.
And anyway, believing if he didn't, when he got him down there to the laneway and bang, and he shot him dead, then he got up on behalf of the police and he murdered him. There's no way in the world Warren pulled a gun on him.
Right.
Right? And that would have been Ned's job to make sure he didn't have the gun anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So there was no one in the world who's going to turn up with that. So he took him down there. Roger just went whack, whack, whack. Ned hopped into his BMW and went bang straight up the Broadway and sat up there for a drink. He got notified that afternoon. He was called into the police station and, well, not actually, I think they went to his house.
Yeah.
And he made a formal statement there. No, just say this, just say this, just say that. He was told what to say, so he got up on behalf of Roger.
Yeah.
And got him through the break on it.
Right.
And,
Did Ned, did he tell you this? Is this?
No, I just know that through everything that's come out over the years, that I've learnt little details. No, Ned always tried to say no.
Because
I said it doesn't matter at the end of the day. I said he got up and gave
evidence.
Gave evidence on behalf of the police.
Yeah. And
then he hardly came out of his house for a while. He was, because everyone in town hated his guts.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, I've been
from the criminal all the criminal groups.
Well, I've been running with him since 75.
Yeah.
And now it's 81.
Yeah.
Then I don't get out lady free, and I only stay with him another 18 months or something before I piss him off, right? And but that was just a straight out. We're going to show you who's the force around here, buddy.
Right.
Right, because Warren was on his way to an armed robbery with two other blokes. But anyway, as they were going to the robbery, the policeman pulled them over on a motorbike, and Warren just pulled out the gun and went whack. Well, it jammed.
Yeah.
So the copper virtually fell off his bike and nearly had a wobbler.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why they knocked him, because, you know, had nothing to do with going to an armed robbery or carrying a gun or bashing anyone or
firing a shot at the police officer.
So they said, no, we need to see him and he got to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they were, you know, once you're hurting them, they're the biggest gang in town. That's their brother. I understood their mentality.
Yeah.
Because they had to show, well, we've got some power here.
Yeah.
You know, even though it was a shit action.
Yeah.
But, you know, and, you know, he whacked one ear and then the next one was right behind his ear. I mean, you know.
Yeah, he's not going to survive.
I mean, you know. So he didn't shoot him from a distance.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, that was the situation there. And then, you know, I was scratching my head over it, you know, and there was even blokes who came into the prison and they all went on protection over it. And I went and I said, what are you doing on protection? Yeah. They said, oh, we're helping the coppers over this land frenzy thing. I said, well, Warren's dead now. Yeah. So you might as well just ride it out and just get out here in the main. What are you doing sitting in the fucking dog yard? Yeah, yeah. Right? So I got him out of there. Because they weren't going to harm anyone. Warren was already dead. Yeah. So I said, just ride along with the story, mate. Yeah. You know what I mean? Anyway, they did, and they thanked me for it later. And you know, and I had a bit of pull down in the prison at the time, you know. And anyway, when we got out, then, you know, I quizzed him over it. Of course I did, you know. And I had me own suspicions and... Yeah. And then a couple of sneaky things started happening. And as I said to you once before, when I went and shot someone on his behalf who tried to kill him, I thought to myself, this bloke's so over-exaggerated, like his reputation as this
tough guy.
Well, not that he was tough, he was tough, you know, like fist-wise and size-wise and violent. But he was always taking back seats. He'd rather manipulate people and, you know, like that treachery in him and get others to do his work for him, same as he did with R.B. Jones that he's doing life over. Right. You know, well, he's not now. He's died.
Passed away.
But,
well, another player that's come into the equation, Christopher Flannery. Yeah. Lots been said about him. Tell us about Christopher Flannery, the person you knew.
Well, I knew him long before Ned and that. Yeah. And I met him also when he came up from Melbourne. He was pinched up here on a murder, and I think it was a brothel owner or something like that. Anyway, they brought him up here. They extradited him from Melbourne, brought him up here, and the next time I saw him, when he beat the charges, I went to a barbecue out at Hurstville with a couple of old Melbourne blokes I knew, those sort of scallywags. And I went out there and next minute he turned up there with his wife. And, well, we started having a chat and I got on well with him. You know, I got to say, you know, I thought he was pretty good. But, well, I remember walking down to get a beer out of the fridge and my mate from Melbourne, Peter Croft, said, watch him, mate, it's a shocking backstabber, this one. Yeah. You know, he's a toe cutter, this bloke. Right. And I went, oh, really, eh? Treacherous. He said, yeah. So anyway, next minute we hear a story, me and Ned, that Ned rings me up and says, I want to see you. So I meet him down at Warners Bay. It's about 11 o'clock at night. Yeah. So I get down there and he said, that Chris Flannery wants to knock you and me, right? Always threw me into the equation, so I'd come and help, right? Yeah. So I went, he wants to kill me too. And I thought, well, I'd get on with him pretty good. What's he want to kill me for? So I went, oh, right out. So next minute I go down and I said, well, where are you going to? I said, we were in Redfern. He said, I'm going up to my girlfriend's place. I said, what are you going up there for? He said, I'm going to go up there and I want to call Roger and let him know what I'm doing. I went, let's just go to his house. I know where he lives in Tempe. We'll go there. And if he's there sitting in the window, we'll put one in him. Yeah. You know, end the problem. You know what I mean? I said, well, do you want to go up there and call the cops? I said, talk to the coppers after it if you want to. Right? Anyway, he doesn't. He goes up there, calls Roger, bang. Roger puts on a meet in the Foster's Hotel that afternoon in the middle of the city. In he come. How are you? They show him Blue Murder, I saw you standing there, your bodyguard. Like I already knew him,
Yeah.
He walked in and I said, there you go, Chris. So he walked over the bar and Ned just put it straight on him and he said, I believe you've been running around telling people you wanted to kill me.
Yeah.
He said, no, that's all crap. And next minute they were talking about, I potted this bloke, and they're having a bridge and up competition at the bar. I got embarrassed. Roger was there.
Yeah.
And I just said, see you later. I just walked out. I said, is everything all right, isn't it? I said, see you later.
Yeah.
I just hopped in my car and pissed off. And I thought, sitting there, what a stupid meeting that was.
Yeah.
Well, next minute he's getting in the company. And I said to Ned, don't bring him in the company, mate.
Yeah.
Don't bring him in there, Now, I really put this gang together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And Ned, and I think in your book you were saying it was almost Ned was infatuated by him. And
no, he was.
Yeah.
He liked to have people around him he knew he could utilise.
Yeah.
For a pot.
Well, Christopher Flannery's Mr. Rent-A-Kill.
Yeah, that's right. He was a hired gun for hire.
Yeah.
He usually charged, 10 to 50 grand, depending on who it was.
Yeah.
Right? In those days. Today they'd be getting 400 and 500.
Right.
Right? So he started getting around in the company and then he started creating havoc. He'd met with a copper one day, one of the coppers who we had sweet, and pulled a gun on him.
Yeah.
During the lunching. I think it was Auntie T's.
Right.
And he pulled a gun on him, stuck it in his head and said, you're not a koala bear, I'll put one in your fucking head. And I went, oh, Jesus Christ. I said, so, mate, this bloke's just going to bring drama here.
Cause problems.
And then along comes Roger is allegedly to have taken a bribe off some boys, from Melbourne, Alan Williams. And he comes up and sees Chris and says, I'm pinched on this blue with this Sydney copper called Michael Drury. And he said, any chance you can get to him? And he said, so Chris fronted Roger. Offered him to, pull him up, which he did. Tried to pull him up, and he wouldn't play ball. He said, "I can't. It's gone too far. I can't pull up."
Yep.
As simple as that. So then all the coppers that didn't like him turned on him, like crazy, because they were all Roger's boys, because he was held in pretty high esteem in those days.
Yeah,
Roger, and and someone to watch for that, because he killed 3 blokes in the line of duty. So he says. Anyway, next minute they're planning this. We're going to knock him. Now, I know that because I was sitting at the back of the house at Tempe where he lived, me and him and Ned.
Yeah.
And they're talking about it. And I said, what you're going to go and shoot the copper. You're going to put him off because he won't take a bribe for your mate down there. I said, let him beat the blue. It's a few ounces of bloody heroin.
Yeah.
He said, he's terrified of jail. I said, well, bad fucking luck. Right? I said, you're going to bring that much heat here. If you do that, we're in all sorts of deep shit here, mate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I said, so you can leave me out of it, right? I said, because I want nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I said, what about you, Ned? What are you going to do? And he said, I'm just listening for the moment, right? And I said, well, see you later. Good luck with it.
Yeah.
Right? So I walked out. So after that, he brought up his other mate. Now, he had a mate from Melbourne called Laurie Prendergast.
Yeah.
Laurie Prendergast and him used to work together all the time as a killing team.
Right.
One would cover the other one's back, or,
they'd work together.
They'd work together. Prendergast had killed quite a few, and actually killed a bloke with a machine gun in the house, and they carted his body out of the house in front of his wife, never to be seen again, and he beat the charges. So he was a pretty willing bloke, and anyway, they came up. Now, at this time, he was working for George Freeman, Chris Flannery, as a bit of a collector and a minder. He was only getting a little drink, and maybe $1,000 a week or something, as a retainer. He'd pick up a bit more if he collected some bugs and some money that was owed or whatever. But anyway, next minute, he's having all these little things of grandeur, and Anyway, they started to do this thing. Well, next minute, now I know for certain that Roger was somewhere else on the night. Now they're trying to make out now in all these documentaries they make, years after someone doing life or whatever they're doing, they come up with all these scenarios. And even Michael Drury says it, that Roger drove the car out there, a police car, with Flannery in it. He went there and shot him, and then they hopped back to the police car and got back. That was his mother.
Yep.
Laurie Prendergast shot him.
Right.
Laurie Prendergast shot him through the window. Right?
Yep.
They even went as far as to scrape his names, the police, Chris's initials into the brick wall, like as if you'd leave your calling sign like that, right? So, and Chris was somewhere else too, right? So, next minute, there's a lot of heat about it. And I'm standing on the corner in down near the Captain Cook Hotel at the end of Kent Street. Next minute, up pulls this car. I'm standing there with Ned. And up pulls this car load of detectives. They get out. One was an American policeman. I forget his name now. And he got out and he said, Abbo, I'd like to have a talk to you. I said, what do you want? And he said, you're a suspect in the shooting of Michael. I said, yeah, are you serious, mate? I said, get a life, mate. Fuck off, And he said, I said, I can't help you. I don't know anything about it, so piss off. That afternoon, I went over and seen Roger and another detective. I think it was John Openshaw at Randwick. They were both having a drink down. I walked in and I told him. I said, all of a sudden, I said, I seem to be getting pressure about this. You know what I mean? And he said, I don't know about it, And I said, well, it seems a bit funny. I'm getting sort of dragged into it here. Anyway, I started to just get a bad feeling about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just about ready to piss off from Ned because there'd been a few little sly attempts at me. I'd got shot in the leg and I found out it was Flannery.
Right.
So I was at a restaurant. I went to see another bloke about getting some guns and things like that. So anyway, as I come out, they were waiting for me and they missed me first. They come past and missed me. They drove past too far. They reversed back. As I reversed back, I jumped up on the bonnet of their car and grabbed the roof of the back of the old restaurant, which was just a toilet block. And I jumped up onto that and slipped across the roof and got out of the way. But they shot me in the leg, bounced straight off me bone, bruised it up. So I went down and seen an old doctor, and doctor fixed me up with some powder and shit and fixed it all up. So I went back and confronted him the next day, and I went down and I said, I just got shot at over there. And I thought, well, it could have been one of the other crew, that we had a bit of drama with. And he went, Anyway, they just seem, and I thought, well,
why aren't you reacting?
How come you aren't saying, well, righto, well, let's go and find out who it is, and you know what I mean? So he said, well, who was it? And I said, well, the only funny thing about it is, when I looked back when I was up on the roof, it was a statesman. And I know that statesman, or a Valiant or something like that. And I said, that was hoisted a few months ago. I've seen that before. Because we used to hoist them 3 and 4 months before any job, so they'd come off the police scanners.
Right.
Once they were over that long, they'd come off the scanner.
So you'd knock them off and tuck them away?
Yeah, tuck them away until it was time to use them, right? And I said, and the gun, even though it was just like late afternoon, the guns were painted black. And all our guns, we used to get these Rugers and get a bloke to file them down, and they'd be like a machine gun, So we had them all done and painted black. Yeah. And that's what I remember, right? And I started to smell a rat here, And then they called me into the office one day and he said, are you coming? Well, just before he did, I was sitting on the lounge. This is one of my psychic things coming through. And I was just sitting there like that and I just heard a gunshot go bang right in my ear. Well, stunned me out of it. It was like I was in a meditation state, right? Yeah. And I went, what the fuck? Next minute, the phone rang. And I'm still thinking about where the fuck that come from. So I walk over. I got on the phone. It's Ned. Yeah. And he said, you coming into town today to get your pay? I said, oh, why don't you tell everybody, mate? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I said, Yeah, I'll get in there when I get in there, mate. Bang. Hung up. I went, what's he doing that for? And I went, oh, there's something not right here. So I went straight across the road where I kept some guns, bang, loaded up.
Yep.
And then I went straight down to the Star Hotel where I knew I had money. I said, I'm going to grab me money out of there. I went down. It's fucking gone.
Right.
Right. So I pulled the gun on the publican, stuck it in his head.
Yeah.
Said, where's me money? He said, Ned picked it up yesterday.
So you'd have money stored
yeah,
in
it was
the
my
pub's
money.
safe.
It was my money.
Right.
He had his money somewhere else.
Okay.
That was mine.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, we're talking a big stack here. So I went, right. So I march up to the unit. Well, instead of going round the front of the unit in Pitt Street, Redfern, I walked underneath it and it was pitch black.
Yeah.
Pitch black on there, no lights. I'm walking underneath to go up the stairwell, going up the back way. And as I'm walking through, I could see this ute there that belonged to one of the gang. And I thought, I'm going in that.
Yeah.
You know, this is me head working, you know. So I walk up the street and I thought, no, I'm just going straight up the stairs. I said, I'm going straight in the lines in here, and if they're going to pull something, then I'm going on with it, right? So I was prepared once I got up the door. I knocked on the door. When I opened up the door, Ned's girlfriend come to the door and just give me eyes like this, you know.
A warning.
Right, big warning.
Yeah.
And as I walked in, sitting there on the lounge, Chris is sitting beside her. She's on the arm of the chair. He's sitting there. There's a big pillow there, and he's got his hand near the pillow, right?
Yeah.
I look there, there's Ned and three of my other gang, right? So next minute, Ned goes, I've got to go somewhere. I told him, never around, always behind the goalpost, right? He said, we'll be back shortly. So he goes out, then I was walking out. And I said, just before you go, I said, I'll get a cup of coffee. So I walked up, and she's going like that.
Yeah.
So I said, can you just turn on the kettle? I said, yeah, good as gold. I thought I might wait for that and shot on him. I was nearly going to do that, but then I thought, no. So I just walked in and started talking. I said, where'd Ned Nut go? He said, I don't know, mate. You know, well, he started to move his hands. As he moved his hand and done a gesture, I pounced on him, right? I went straight underneath the pillar as a gun with the silencer on it.
Right.
Right? So I shot that from the end of the lounge so he couldn't reach it.
Yeah.
I jammed mine straight in his mouth, right? And I'm going off, you dirty, filthy grub, you know. Where are they? What's the go here?
Yeah.
You know. And I thought, no, fuck it, I'll just fucking give it to him. Next minute, on the fucking door, and the door opens.
Yeah.
Well, I spin straight around thinking it's them coming back in the door. So I'm just going to go bang, bang, bang. I fucking have to give it a lot of them.
Yeah.
Right? That's a woman. She walks in. So I thought, well, I can't do anything now. Otherwise, I'll have to take her out of play, and that's not my go. Wouldn't kill a woman, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just walked out the door, just walked straight out. And the next night I went and confronted them straight in I said,
what they say?
Going? Oh, mate, all their heads are down like this. Anyway, I walked to the bar and Ned's girlfriend said, I said, thanks for the warning, but I already knew, right?
Yeah.
She said, okay, that's right, don't tell him. No, I won't tell him.
Yeah.
So I just walked back and I said, so how's all the skunks going tonight? That's what I called them.
Yeah.
How's all the skunks going tonight? What are you talking about? I said, you owe me money, right? You've got tomorrow afternoon to give me the money, right? That's all I've got to say to you. Right, you can get stuff. So I walked out of the place and I got down into, I think it was it Pitt or George? It's in the Imperial Arcade. So I think Pitt and George or Castlereagh and George or something, right? So I get down into one of the shop windows like that and I'm just waiting. His car's across the road. He walks down with a little barmaid and he's trying to put work on her to take her home.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm thinking, well, I can't do nothing to him.
Yeah.
Well, she's there. Hurry up and piss off, you know. Well, she didn't. She's standing there jabbering to him. Then he hopped into his car and just drove off and she said, I remember her saying, you're old enough to be me father.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So she hops into the car, her car, and she pisses off.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, Jesus Christ, how lucky is this bloke?
Yeah.
Right? And I started getting real snoopy on him. Anyway, in between that, the Sugar Ray Robinson was going to fight Sugar Ray Leonard was going to fight Marvis Marvin Hagler.
Yeah.
So I'm at home. I was going to go down to the 16-footers club
Watch
up
it.
my way and watch it. And next minute, I get a phone call. It's Ned. He said, you want to watch that fight today? I said, well, I'll tell you what. I'll go down and watch it with you on this condition. I said, I had a bet with you years ago that Thomas Hearns would get beat by Roberto Duran, who was my favourite fighter. He was the animal, you know. And I said, I'll back him. So I backed him for 5,000. I lost. He got knocked out in the first round by Thomas Hearns, right? Yeah. Mate, I was shattered.
Devastated.
So I said, so you bring $5,000 and I'm on Leonard. He said, good. All right, I'll bring the 5. He turns up. He had a big Rolls Royce at the time. Turns up in the roller, comes in. So we're having this thing. And I next minute, the fight's over. I've got the $5,000. He said, let's sit down for a sec. I sat down and I said, I don't really want to sit down here and talk with you, mate. Tell you the truth. I'm fucking over yous.
Yeah.
Fucking lot of yous. And he said, listen, mate, you've been right all along. You told me not to bring the bloke in. He just wanted to be number one, you know. Yeah. So next minute, he's Ned said to me, I know where they're hiding out, right? They've just tried to kill him, so there's a little bit they're hiding. Now, they've got no guns at the moment. We'll get them a couple of guns. That's our excuse to go there.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll give them a bit of money. We'll give them one gun. And he said, and then we'll just give them some money, then we'll go down the following week where we've got their confidence. They feel confidence up. And he said, we'll just fucking give it to them. I said, okay, good plan.
Yep.
Right? And I went, about fucking time. Right? I said, I've been running with you all my life, done plenty of things for you and with you. Right? I said, but after this, I'm still going.
Yeah.
Right? So I walked out of there that day. Well, I fell into the biggest trap of all time. You know, I couldn't believe it myself.
Yeah.
I didn't even have any of them things I usually get. I had gut feelings, but that's all they were. You know, nothing extravagant sort of stood out. Then I got down the pub. Now, Drury's naturally is alive. Yeah. You know, recovering, and so they need a scapegoat.
Yep.
You know, and I'm the bunny. I'm the one they're going to.
They're putting you up for the attempt murder.
Now, I know that, and even if you listen to Roger Rogerson's DVDs he made, he says on that DVDs, he said, I sent detective down to Christopher Dale Flannery's place to sort out the gang wars. Now, why would you send him there?
Yeah.
If they weren't going to either set someone up or they're going to give someone up.
Yeah.
So it was either one or the other, right? So it was probably both, right? So I thought, oh, well, you've just brought something to my attention there, you know. So then I jerried, you know. But what happened on the day that it was going to happen, that was a long time later when I heard his DVD. But that day, we're at the Lord Wolseley Hotel, and we were going to leave at a certain time and go up there. And I had to go up the cross, and we are just going to go in and say, yeah, mate, here's the gun, here's that. And so I started heading up there, and just as I was going to, Ned went, oh, mate, I just got a call off Roger. I got to wait here. He said, do you mind just dropping that up? I said, no, I'll drop it up.
Yeah. I'm
driving off, and then I only got about 300 yards out of that area.
Yeah.
And next minute I saw this old Falcon panel van with the big open doors on the back, you know, the old, like, Sandman ones. And I could see the curtain in it moving, and I thought, well, these cops or, you know, well, they're only going to pinch me with a gun. If they get me, I'll get through the break, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm going up thing, but I've got my own gun in the car.
Yeah.
And plus I've got this other gun that he's given me. And I said to him, I had to put the hair up my back. I said, what about the money? And he said, fuck him. I ain't give him any money.
Yeah.
So while I was driving off, I was thinking to myself, I wonder why he didn't give me the money. I'm tired ass, right? Anyway, so get along a bit further. The car's still with me. Go up around down the museum, the big cathedral. Go down the back there into William Street. Now, it's Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Bit packed going up the street, you know. I pull up at the first set of lights just past the New Zealand Hotel. And they had to pull up just a little bit opposite me. So I virtually put my window down to the car and I said, "What are you looking at, your dog?" Well, if it was a crim, they'd burr up, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't. He just sort of went, give me the bird. But I knew there was someone else in the back.
Yeah.
And I thought, geez, I know that head. Well, it was Laurie Prendergast. Right? No, I didn't jerry then.
With Chris.
I'm not jerrying, you know. And I thought, because I've only seen him a couple of times, right? So I went, geez, that face looks familiar. So I drove up, get to the place, get out of the car, and I went, right, I'm always early, right? So I said, I'll just sit here for a minute. And I was looking out the window, and I looked straight across the road of William Street, and here's where you go up the top where the Coca-Cola sign is, turn around, and then right again you come down the ramp. There's a couple of car spots there. It used to be an old fire station along there. There was a couple of car spots. I pulled the panel van. I pulled a detective's car beside him, and the detective got out of the car and was going, getting right up these blokes, right? And I went, wow, are these cops or not? I said, well, no good me pissing off around the back way here. If I go and do that, I'll never find out what it's about. So, I'm always like going in the lines then. I'll take the challenge on, right? So I hop in the car, drive up the top. No one turns up. So I go, this is a trap.
Yep.
Right? So I'm going up the top, get up the top, turn right, went down past them. Police car takes off in front, just stays in front, watches me blinkers going on, knows where to turn, right? Get up around St James Station, heading into, what's the name of the street runs on to Sussex? Is it King Street? Crosses Castlereagh, Pitt, all the way down there, straight from St James Station and then David Jones on the corner, right? Yeah. So I just come around there, get the first set of traffic lights, and on the other side of the traffic light is the detective's car with his wheels turned straight out this way.
Yeah.
Right?
Ready to block you.
Ready to block me. So I get the lights, and I'm watching this car behind me, right? I can see, and I see the door sort of come open, right? And I can see daylight through the curtain.
Yeah.
And I went, they're getting ready to jump out. And I went straight through it. Well, I had this V8 Jag. I had a 350 Chev motor in it. It was all souped up and, right, friggin' flew this car. So as I come through, I just went whoosh. I went straight across the other side, mounted the gutter. There was a bloke on one of them PMG things, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they get on the plug and hole.
Yeah.
I run straight over the top of that. Friggin' he must have died of fright, that bloke. And then I reversed back over it and reversed back up the street. Well, I run into the one-way street. It was Castlereagh Street.
Yeah.
They're all coming, buses are coming this way. Well, they're all pulled up there. They get out the back and they're all ballad up and the cop car's gone.
Right.
Right? So what they were going to do, as I found out, was knock me there that day. The gun I'm carrying belongs to, there's the same gun that shot Michael Drury.
Set you up.
Yeah.
Blow you away,
Blow me away. Copper drives around the block. Oh, look who's on the ground here. Someone's fucking murdered Abbo Henry.
Yeah.
Well, we'll check this gun, put that through ballistics. Bang, case solved.
Okay.
They're through the break.
That's like...
So Roger's through the break. He's through the break. Now, I'm not saying Roger was involved to say, go and get Abbo.
Yeah.
But he didn't care who the scapegoat was going to be.
Very treacherous.
It's the life, mate.
That is the life.
That's the life.
So, like, who do you trust? Like, in that type of field? Because it's...
You just got to, mate, look, like the old saying is, you keep your friends and your enemies even closer. Well, I don't.
Yeah.
I keep my friends closer. Yeah. They're the ones I watch. You know what I mean? Because they're the ones that can make you drop your guard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're the ones that get about your wife or your girl or your...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's always a friend.
But it's with all this shit going on, you're still attracted to the life?
Yeah, I'm still,
Like at that point in time, you're still attracted to the life. I know
I mean, that was pretty adrenaline that day too. So, I get off on that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I remember I bolted straight down to the Lord Nelson Hotel. I hid the gun. They drove past a couple of times, actually. They come having a bit of a hunt, but they couldn't see me. So
Now,
I finally go back to the Lord Wolseley, and I just handed the gun to Ned. I said, someone just tried to either kidnap me or murder me,
yeah,
right? Here's the gun back. I
Yeah.
made sure I wiped it down,
yeah,
right? And I said, and you can stick it up your arse.
yeah.
Right, we're finished. Well, he didn't even say a word. He just stood there like fucking dumbfounded that I was still even there,
So,
you know, because they thought I was gone for sure.
what we're talking about here is you've got Christopher Flannery involved, the shooting of a police officer, Mick Drury. You've got Roger Rogerson, disgraced cop that's now in time for murder.
Yep.
You got Neddy Smith, who's in time for murder, and with all the other crimes.
Yeah.
Chris and Laurie Pendergrast.
Yep.
It's just it's a hornet's nest, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Now,
Be a different matter if you were a dog or I'd rob them or, you know what I mean? Like, you could understand, well, bad luck, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
But, you know, just to be used as the bunny because they didn't have no one.
Flannery, and I'll ask this, and I'll ask it from a homicide perspective.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just looking at what's going on there and my head's spinning. I'm trying to make notes, and I'm thinking, okay, right, this, that. Christopher Flannery and Laurie were involved in setting you up, attempts on your life, and they're disappeared. So I got to ask you, I think...
Well, naturally, I've been a heavy suspect in that, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
Even at the inquest, I was called to the inquest about it. And I said, look, if a crime had occurred, and I said, and I never reported, I said, that'd be against the law, wouldn't it?
Right.
I said to Mr. Glass, and he said, yes, I would. I said, I refused to answer the question.
Okay.
So, grounds I may incriminate myself.
All right. Well, I ask him.
And I'll just leave it, but
so if I ask
it's funny. They have two inquests into Christopher Dale Flannery's death.
Yeah.
And Laurie Prendergast don't even get a mention. Like, these two blokes work together. He doesn't even get the mention. They've all got this theory in their head. That's why there was two inquiries, because they believe Roger killed him.
Yeah.
Roger was with him when he shot him, and it was all about getting Roger.
Yeah.
That's why they had all the inquiries.
The profile.
Yeah.
Profile of it.
I mean, he built it up himself. I mean, he brought it all on himself by the way he mingled with everyone, and and that was his own undoing.
There's consequences of profiles, but you're not putting your hand up to them.
No.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't put my hand up to anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I said, don't talk to me car, don't talk to me house, don't tell me wife, nothing. So no one else is going to know.
You'd be a pain in the arse. You would be a pain in the arse in the interview room. Sure you don't want to speak?
No, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Look, we'll
I don't mind talking about the dead ones.
Yeah. There's just to lighten it up, because that was a pretty heavy story. But you told me a story the other day, and I don't know why I laughed about it, but I did laugh about it because it's funny in a way. But we're talking about you got a reputation, and how because of your reputation, people you get talked about in all sorts of things that you've got nothing to do with, and that's just your reputation.
Yeah, that's right.
And I said that I hear stories about people that have done so-called things to me or put me in my place or whatever when I've been sort of out in the public on certain things.
Yeah.
But there was a classic story when your car broke down.
West Ryde.
Tell us that story. Because
well, I was only a young bloke then, and I was, I was in my 20s or something, and I was...
your reputation was just starting to...
And I was pretty well known all around that area, and and I'd always heard stories. Oh, this bloke got me, or this bloke did this to me, or anyway, my car broke down. I was driving this XJS Jag, and broke down, just an electrical fault, and the bloke said, "I'll fix it up. I'll have it fixed by 3 o'clock." I said, "All right." So I just put out my finger and started hitchhiking up through Eastwood to go to the. And this bloke picks me up. He said, "Where you going to?" I said, "I'm actually going to Epping if you're going up that way." He said, "Yeah, I'll go to Epping." He said, "I'm going to Pennant Hills." I said, "All right, good as gold." So as we're driving along, I start talking, and I said, "I'm just going up the Epping pub, have a few beers." He said, "Oh, do you know that Abbo Henry?" I said, where we fucking go, I went, Yeah, I do, mate. I said don't have much to do with the bloke, but
Yeah.
I said I see him from time to time up there, and I said loves a stink, I said, this guy, and he said, yeah, he does. He said, but reputation's pretty false. I said, oh yeah, why is that? He said I had a fight with him up there one night and started over a pool game, and he said, and I took him outside. And he said, I punched the crap out of him. I was so shocked that he was that easy to beat. I went, I'll be fucked. I said, well, you must be able to handle yourself, mate. I said, I thought he could aim up all right. But anyway, I said, yeah, off your luck, mate. I said, anyway, he's in jail at the moment. And I said, I'm going in the pub. I said, why don't I buy you a beer, mate, for giving me a lift up here? He said, oh, beautiful. So he pulls up down the back and he kept on saying to me, you sure? And he's definitely in jail. And I said, oh, yeah, mate, yeah. Yeah, I said, he's in for assault or fucking doing something. He said, oh, yeah, that'd be right. So we get upstairs, walk into the bar. As soon as I walked into the bar, I said, too, Scanlon. He said, how are you, Abba? The barmate said, he just looked at me, just give me you could see the blood drain out of his face, and I just poleaxed him. Bang, big right hand, left hooked him, bang, out like a light he was. Just unbelievable.
I'm prefacing it with we can't condone violence, but
I know.
In the scheme
honestly,
of things,
just some people are unbelievable.
That's
they hear a story or read a book and put them it was like Chopper Reed. He used to tell stories, and I said to him one night, I put him on in the club I had, and I said, mate, I didn't ever know you had an Uncle Vinny. I didn't know you had Italian. I said, that story actually came out of Goodfellas. He said, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story, mate.
Oh, is that what Chopper said to you?
And he was right off his dial, full of speed,
Oh, yeah.
It's a classic.
Well, look, we might wrap up for part 3. We're going into rare territory. We're going to go into part 4 because there is still so much to talk about. What I want to cover off on, and these are basically the things that we'll try and cover in the next part, is that you were shot by the police. We touched on it briefly, but that was at North Sydney. We'll talk.
12th of June, 1991. Yep.
Oh, I'll let bygones be bygones. There's also the time that you were looking to kill Neddy Smith.
Yep.
That you were telling us the other day about that.
Yep.
And also the time that this is a crime that you regret, but it's a brutal crime. But having listened to the world that you've been living in, I'm starting to understand that you must get desensitised when you're seeing so much violence, so much treachery.
No, you do.
But that's when you stabbed Mal Spence, the prosecutor behind the Lord Wolseley Hotel.
Yep.
That cost you 6 years, 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, got 8 years with 6 on the bottom, yeah.
That's the last time you've been inside?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, got out in 97, never been back since.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that. And I want to just talk about reflections on your life in crime.
Yeah.
And also what you're doing now. Like, you don't get a super fund as a gangster. So
No. I went into, commodity broking, doing coal, iron ore, gold bullion, gold dust, jet fuel from Russia.
Yeah.
Went into things like that. That's the harder game than being a crook, and just as many crooks in it.
And just as ruthless.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, let's cover all that when we get back for part 4 of I Catch Killers with Graham Henry.
Good as gone.
Cheers.